Oh my gosh, your hair looks beautiful.
Thanks, I did today. I
Huh?
did hair.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did.
You look awesome.
You do too.
Thanks. I was just telling everybody that they can catch up with us for episode 1. That
Yeah.
is on YouTube. The link is
Yeah.
in my bio, or IGTV on your page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just like last time, we're just checking in with each other, catching up with each other because we're close friends. But if anybody has any questions and wants to submit anything, that is totally cool. So I gotta figure out that 10 thing.
Oh, can I do it? Let me see.
And
I
you?
don't think I can. So just go put a comment
Oh,
down.
comment. Okay, 1 second.
Hi, everybody on live. Hey, Mom.
I'm like trying not to spell quarantine wrong.
Quarantine.
I don't think I've ever said that word like until now.
So many times, right?
Yeah.
Other word, I'm sick of hearing sanitizers. I'm sick of
Sanitize.
hearing ventilators.
For real.
I don't want to hear another thing about ventilators and sanitizers.
Are we done? We're done. Yeah, we're done. We're done with that.
Super done. Love you too.
Okay, so I just did that. I made a comment.
Nice.
Now I can pin my comment.
Perfect.
I'm learning things out here.
We learn something new every time.
That's what quarantine will do. It'll make you learn something.
It's definitely done that.
Yeah.
Among
Totally.
others.
So, what's going on?
Not much, you know. This week has been busy. It's been like a little bit busy, but we're here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can't complain. Like I can't complain. I'm blessed and
Mm-hmm.
alive, not ill.
Totally.
And every day that we are in our bodies is a day
Yeah,
to rejoice.
absolutely.
So I have no complaints.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like it is so hard in this like current um just climate to maintain that though. Like, oh, I'm not gonna complain. It's like literally all these pandemics. There's not just one epidemic happening.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I saw this lady on Instagram, and I had put this in my story a little while ago, that she was talking about how when she was growing up, she would clean houses with other. She was a black woman,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think she was saying like she was on a bus or something
Mm-hmm.
with the other people that were going to clean these like huge mansions or whatever. And one of them said to her, "Don't forget to clean the light."
Right.
And she was saying how when she started doing that, when she started to clean these light fixtures, people would be like, "Oh my gosh, my house looks amazing. Like, what did you do differently? Like, it's not just clean, it's bright, it's open, it's new. Like, what's
Wow.
going on here?" And so I think that's important for us as music makers. Last time we were talking about that our kind of responsibility, maybe as musicians, as artists, is sometimes to be a light and to be kind of the atmosphere setter. So we
Mm-hmm.
have like the responsibility to
Yes.
either bring out light or be like, this is too much. But I think even though this is too much, and I'm sure that we're both maybe overwhelmed by everything that's going on, like we can't stay stuck overwhelmed. We can't stay stuck down. We can't stay stuck in darkness. Like we have to be the light in darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean that I'm not sympathizing with what's going on or PO'd with
Mm-hmm.
what's happening either.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm especially you know, something that has been being posted now is in my area. I'm on 6 o'clock Mountain Time. So I live in Denver. And the story that came out with the young man from Aurora, which is very close to where I live, like Aurora and Denver are right next to each other. And that whole story of how he was also, killed by the hands of police, that is like mortifying. Just sad is not even the word. It's not even the feeling anymore. It's like, I'm pissed. I feel terrible. What does that mean for me in my like level of privilege? Like, where is my responsibility? All of those things. But at the same time, just to your point that we can't just stack up in,
No.
it has to be like,
if we carry every burden, we will be buried.
absolutely.
Like, it's finding balance between how do I deal with the heaviness.
Absolutely,
You
yeah.
know? How do I deal in the heaviness and still persist and see the beauty in every day and walk out my purpose?
Right. Yeah. That's such a challenging balance, but
and I think it requires attention every day. Like, like this idea that we're free from what we were as far as Black people being enslaved at one point, but still, I believe we still carry the wounds of that.
Oh yeah.
And so it's making the decision of like balancing that heaviness and that pain with productivity and like channeling the anger into a movement.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. It's so frustrating to me though when people are like, "Oh, slavery was so long ago," and it's just like, well, I'm gonna need you to watch 13th on Netflix, number one, but also it really in the like lifetime of America, more than half of that people were enslaved.
Well beyond half.
Yeah.
Count that when you count the civil rights movement, when you count
segregation, like
incarceration, like today our people are being enslaved.
Right. Actively.
What's going on in the world. And it's heavy. People who aren't seeing that, something isn't connecting.
Right. Yeah. And it's too bad for them because as we were talking about being the light, I think to be a light, there has to be darkness. So for like, you kind of have to confront that and live in that for a second so that the light can be valued. Yeah.
The two must coexist.
Yes. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. So let's talk about this quarantine, this crazy corona that
that COVID.
Yes. Let's talk about just like, as it says, the quarantine part of this. How has this been for you? What's different? What's better? What do you miss? What don't you miss? How does all of this fit into your journey and your journey as an artist?
Yeah. So I think this time has been many things. It's been, everywhere you turn, we are in unprecedented times. We are in uncertain times.
Right.
So this has been a strange series of events and like the way everything is folded out. But I believe that time is always uncertain. Like nothing is certain ever.
Right.
So we're always in uncertain times.
Right.
It's a matter of how it's playing out.
That's so real.
You know what I mean? Like times are always unprecedented. Stuff happens every day. And I think it was, I don't know what I was listening to, but somebody was saying like, or maybe it was a book I was reading, that it's almost like an illusion that life is normal. Like we tell ourselves that life is normal.
Yeah.
Because that helps us be okay.
Right.
Day to day. But like, what is normal? Like spin everything on its head. Look where we are. This is normal.
Yeah. My cousin just said facts. Stephanie said
facts, right? It's true. It's so true.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're always in uncertain times.
Totally.
I feel like this time in particular was initially like, whoa. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I'm settling into a new normal now. Um, and it's been many things. I think I have to acknowledge my privilege in this time as far as like not being incredibly thrown off course in a negative way by
Mm-hmm.
the part of what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm enough to still be able to work and
Yeah.
so things haven't been shifted that massively in that way, which I'm extremely blessed to say.
Mm-hmm.
In light of that, I have found like the extra time has been great for just reflecting.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a lot of time to just sit with myself, sit with God, reevaluate my direction and my purpose,
Mm-hmm.
and then just be creative.
Yeah.
Um, Using the times to really shake something up within myself and to go towards where God is calling me to go.
Yeah.
Um, which has been really beautiful. It's been a strange hiatus from the normal day to day. As far
Yeah.
as what I don't miss the commute because that
Ooh.
I was commuting forever to go to work, to and from work, and I don't miss that part. I've had more time to like work out and be healthy and
Mm.
fix meals and cook.
Yeah.
So that's been a blessing, and that's been so fun to just try different things that I wouldn't have tried because I didn't have time.
Right. Yeah.
Um, I miss on the music side. I miss shows. I miss live
Yeah.
shows so much,
Yeah.
and I'm happy that it seems like I'm going to be doing a few private shows this summer.
Oh yeah.
In
Like
person.
at somebody's house or like.
So
Okay.
we're doing logistics, but it's gonna be like social distance live shows,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
Um, and I think people need it. We're missing live music. I've tuned into Zoom concerts, which has been life. It's been life giving to
Mm-hmm.
like be there with people on live.
Yeah.
One Friday we like went on So Far Sounds and listened to some girls and whomever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was dope. But there's an experience of being live with people and like getting people to sing and be in a
Yeah.
space together. That,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so my big. That's one of my big ones. How
For
about
sure.
you?
Well, just real quick off of that, what do you think about this idea of going back to normal? Do you think you will go back to normal? Is normal where we're trying to be? Is there a new normal? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's like I said. I feel like normal is an illusion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't I feel like nothing is going to be the same
Yeah.
after this.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily know how everything is going to look differently.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think things are going to be the same. I don't think music is going to be the same, or the music in various industries.
Yeah.
Like all the jobs that said, "Oh, you can't work remotely," who are now everyone's working remotely. Like things are going to be different. I think moving forward.
Yeah.
So I think we have to get used to a new normal, and just begin to embrace it and take and take every day one as it comes. Take life a day at a time. And I think doing that has made me helped me be more sane than trying to be 10 steps ahead. Because I feel like that's previously how I've been, always busy,
Yeah.
always like what do I have to do later, what do I have to do tomorrow.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
being with the day and taking life a day at a time.
For real. I love that. That needs to be I think all of our new normals is
Mm-hmm.
that we are grateful for each moment. Um and it's unfortunate that something so terrible has like had to make us think of that, but definitely somewhere that we can be just saying I'm grateful for this moment. Like things are not perfect and I don't know what's going to happen for about tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm going to just keep going.
Yeah,
So,
we have to.
yeah.
How about you? How are you feeling with quarantine? What's different? What has changed? What do you miss?
Um Yeah. I we were kind of like, I don't know, in a little bit of transition ourselves just because of the fact that we have church jobs.
Yes.
So
And that
that
was
was
work.
kind of like, ah. But
Mhm.
thankfully, our church is still going. We're doing online stuff, so that's been really great. But also, I for sure miss shows, even just going to a show.
Mhm.
Um, but at the same time, thinking, and this is just like, I don't know, maybe terrible that I think this way, but the Metropolitan Opera, they've been doing like free nightly streamings of like live past live performances. And some of these shows, some of these operas have these huge choruses with like an amazing cast of maybe like 5 or 7 like leading roles, that are all like amazing voices, and then a huge orchestra, and then the Met sits, I think like 2,000 seats or something like that. It's like, that is a crazy thought now with coronavirus.
I
Like,
know.
how can we all be in the same space, so many of us, and we weren't even thinking about that before.
Nope. Which I feel like we should have been thinking about, like
I
viral
know.
particles, because it's a real thing.
Yeah.
And, but it's true. I watched a Juneteenth concert.
Mm-hmm.
They were in the theater, but nobody was in there.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I'm like sad that that's like secretly in the back of my head. Maybe once things maybe get a little bit like easier or better or whatever, then
Mm-hmm.
I won't be thinking about that so much. Like when I'm actually in a show, I, I can't think about that. I can't think about that. That's too much. But that's also like, I'm gonna be in the moment and enjoy the moment, just like you were saying. Um, just really quick before we move on, we see that Chloe is in here. Hey, Chloe. And Vernon and Tia. We went
That's
to school with Tia. And then earlier I saw my mother-in-law and Stephanie. We shouted you out for that facts, hashtag facts. Your sister, your mom.
how Travis just happened.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Tia.
Uh,
So, yeah, go ahead.
that was what you missed. That's what you were just saying. You were saying what you were worried about.
Yeah, I mean, I miss the shows, but then I'm also like, when the shows come back, that's a scary thought
Mm-hmm.
that we're all like together.
Yeah.
Um, and but how it's played into like my journey as an artist, for sure, it's just like you were saying, like appreciating each moment.
Yes, we have to. You were saying something earlier when we were talking about quarantine and how it's made you like, what else is there to do in quarantine but sit and be with yourself? Talk about that.
No, you talk about that.
First,
No.
should we jump? Okay, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. Yes, I feel that when we were talking earlier, just like this time has been, as you were saying too, like very reflective, not on purpose,
Mm-hmm.
um, which has been good. It kind of has forced a lot of us to reflect,
Mm-hmm.
um, and to just kind of see where we are and where we want to be, where we want to go, um, how much, if any, are we appreciating the moment, just
Yeah.
like we were talking about. But there's nothing going on really that we could go to, that or people that we could be around to kind of boost ourselves up. So it's like our inner confidence is, or our thought of ourselves and our goals really have to be just considered and in line, rather than like waiting for all these outside sources to validate us. It's like, okay, who am I? Who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And really walking in that.
Yes.
Which I think goes back to where we kind of started, in being a light. and that if that is my decision, that I am from the source of light and I want to be light, then yeah, I can't get stuck in the craziness of now. That doesn't mean I don't mourn with those who mourn. For sure, this is like insanity. Um, but I have to remain in the space of knowing who I am.
Yes. Yes. And I think
You're more fluid, so
no, I think that's great. I think
you go with it.
I think it's amazing. And I think this has been critical time to sit and reevaluate, like, who am I? What am I doing? What is my purpose? Am I in line with my purpose? If not, how can I get closer in line with it?
How do you think you find your purpose?
That's a beautiful question. I think it's a day-to-day journey. It's one of those things that you have to pick up every day. You have to get up every day and be like, and realign yourself with your truths and how that is going to be played out in your life.
Yeah.
Because I think that's in line with your purpose. I think it's like I feel like my purpose is being revealed more every day, more every week, every
Mm-hmm.
year. I don't think I've totally realized it yet.
Right.
And sometimes you have those days where you're like, what am I doing? Like, is what I'm doing making sense? Like,
Yeah. Ooh,
is it,
that is like the life of an artist. I feel like all artists on here, my friend Giovanna is here. I feel like she would attest to, because we've had these conversations. Am I gonna make it? Where am I going? What am I doing?
does this matter? Like,
Yeah,
we
like
visit those questions every
yeah,
day. And, you know, even if you're not in the arts, I think people ask these questions of themselves constantly.
yeah.
And,
That's
but it's okay. And I think it's good because I think for as many days that I'm like, does what I'm doing even make sense? I have it just as many days where I'm like, this matters and everything, things are aligning and I'm getting close to my purpose. So I think it's a journey that's ongoing and it should be ongoing until our last breath if
yeah,
we're living life to the full.
for sure. I think even in just like we said that for the catch up, we're just two friends that are chatting and catching up about life. And our part of what brings us together is our love for music and our drive to be artists, but also our faith.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Jesus is a great example. Like Jesus is always the right answer, right? For these
Yeah. Yeah.
because the Bible says that like all that he did in his like ministry, his 3 years of ministry, like the book doesn't record it all, number one. And number two, it also says, well, he says that you will do greater works than him. So
Mm.
it's like, okay, Jesus, like, so, just thinking like we're not always, we don't have to feel this pressure of like, okay, I've realized my purpose and now I'm done. It's like always unfolding
Oh,
and
if you're done,
and
there's something
yeah.
wrong. If you already figured out, why are you still here?
Right.
Like it's ongoing.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Love it. So
For
in line with that, like in line with purpose and identity, I think that ties in well with where we're going. So as far as our backgrounds,
yeah.
um, what in your history, the
Hmm.
history of you, has really inspired your journey into music?
Yeah. So do you mean just like
What are
everything?
some things? Yeah, like what led you to music?
Wow. I think last time I took like the easy way out and just said like I don't know how to do anything else. And that's not false. No, I've just always, I feel like I have a little bit of like the classic story that I've just always been singing. I sang at church. My parents were always involved in ministry, my whole family. And so I eventually went to performing arts high school, went to college and studied music. and then did my master's and studied music. And I think we were talking about this before too, that I'm just now trying to identify myself as a singer rather than just because I would do this thing like, oh, I'm an opera singer. I don't really acknowledge like everything else that has brought me to here, which includes the fact that I lead worship at my church, the fact that because that's not opera, so I can't like, you know, or the fact that I started and was just like straight up jazz and like R&B, Alicia Keys, just like that was my thing.
Yeah.
And finding myself in that. And so I think now I'm trying to say and kind of identify myself as just, I'm a singer. I sing. And I think the better singing technical wise is definitely when I'm singing classical music. But I use those tools to do everything else that I love, and trying not to limit myself into one genre. But I found that genre of classical music completely on accident. As I went to, I don't know that I said this last time, but that when I was auditioning for college, I did not realize that our school that we both went to, Gordon College, didn't have anything but classical music. Like that there was no registering of that. And so after I auditioned with these terrible arias that are now just, I can't believe I sang them. For people that know and for people that don't, I can explain. So I came into Gordon College as a mezzo soprano, which people that know me now, it's like, that makes no sense. So I came in singing Dido's Lament from Dido and Aeneas and Que Faro, and that is from Orfeo. And so these are songs that are like super alto-y. And I am not super alto-y. So after my audition, literally the adjudicators, which became my professors, Tom Brooks, I remember, he walked me out of the room and was like, you don't know what you're doing. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye. Like what? And he was like, so I think you should come here because I can help you. Like you're not, this was really hard for you because your voice doesn't want to do this. And I was like, oh, okay, teach me the way. So that was a little bit of that crazy experience. And then somehow I just fell in love with it over time. But I think what keeps me in it, though, is part of like the challenge of just seeing how good I can get and like moment by moment appreciating my practice time and not just the stage, but like the inner work that is involved and the amazing parallels of how the voice works and how like Jesus saved the world. I feel like that one day I'm gonna write a book about vocal technique and like
do it.
Christ, yeah. But I had it like sketched out. I don't know where that paper is.
You did outline?
That's probably lost.
I love it. But I think that's so good. I think it's so important to like revisit what led us to our passions. And like what better time to revisit it than now?
Yeah.
Because we have time to sit with our thoughts.
Right, yeah.
And I think that like thinking back to those times, I'm sure that it's like you don't feel like the you now would probably have done so many things differently and like differently and maybe even like pursued things differently. So it's interesting isn't it so interesting though to think back and just think about how you interacted in situations in your life and in your past and how you would approach them now.
Yeah.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
I think that's like one of the markers of maturity and growth.
Yeah. Absolutely, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
What about you?
I love it. Yeah. I was always, there was always music around. I think church was the first place
Mm-hmm.
that music fell into my life. And church really was hugely formative in my musical I don't know, just how I play out in my music self. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it was so fun to grow up singing in choirs and like learning all types of harmonies and
Yes.
developed an ear that
That is so invaluable. I
it
feel
is.
like
It's not
now
intuitive. It's
it's
not intuitive.
unreal. Like some of the people that I come in contact with that haven't had like a church experience, it's like we could break this into three parts like this. And
Yes.
other people are like, so do I lower the third?
Right.
No.
Right.
Okay, we're done.
And
But
it's like
yeah.
super blessed by it.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
it's so easy to do harmony and come up with melodies and
Yeah.
so the church was extremely formative in my stylings. Um, and I had diverse church experiences too. So I grew up in a black church and was around gospel music for most always.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had some experiences in the contemporary Christian side of church, so which is like acoustic guitars and like a totally different vibe. And so I think
Yeah.
the mix of those two, plus like all the music that I just heard growing up, of which was a mix of like R&B
Right.
and like random classic rock stations that I remember just on Saturday being in the car with my dad or something, listening to random music. So I
Yeah.
feel like I just know so much music and have had so many experiences in music. And so it's led me to, I feel like I sit most comfortably in the soul genre stylistically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that is also, it's like a broad place to sit, but like soul, if you can play soul and just sit with an acoustic guitar and some piano,
Mm-hmm.
that's that's where I'm at home. And then
Yeah.
whatever lyrics come, like it doesn't, you know, and so I feel like that's where I'm like boundaryless in terms of genre. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be bound by genre
Right.
necessarily, and I think it's less, in many ways, it's less about genre, but for me, it's less about genre and more about the message and the purpose and intent behind the music,
Yeah.
um, which I certainly feel has been it's been a, it's been a journey of figuring out what that is. I
Mm-hmm.
do think that for a while, I think I've been pretty solid in like my purpose, the purpose behind my music.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's big for a lot of artists of like
Yeah.
figuring out why am I making music aside from the fact that I just like to make melodies and
Right.
chords to them and you know so
Yeah.
just like any other passion I think it's so important to know the
Mm-hmm.
purpose behind it.
Right. I
um
think no, go ahead, go ahead.
no that yeah.
I was just gonna say one of the biggest compliments I think that I got from my husband was, and I'll like never forget this, although I don't think we talked about this, so he might be on here. But that after my um master's recital, which was at DU at the University of Denver Lamont School of Music, I sang like a Bach cantata in the beginning, and then I think I sang like French art songs. I don't remember. And
Mm,
then the second set was all spirituals.
mm,
And he said to me, the presence of God was in that room.
wow.
And that was such a big compliment because I'm thinking, okay, I'm only like reverencing the Heavenly Father when I'm like, put your hands together, sing
Right,
with
some
me, here we
extra
go.
stuff.
Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, I do that because I love that. But at the
Yeah,
same time, what speaks to my soul, what's like,
is not
is
all
this thing that's like maybe seen as a little bit more, I don't know. I don't want to say too much about that. But I was just like, wow, it's really just like you were saying, like spending time in your identity. And then whatever you do, like people will see your fruits. Like it says. Um, for sure. Yeah,
mm,
that was, but at the same time, just along that same train of thought, is that my pastor, my pastora, I've said before that I lead worship in Spanish. Our church is Spanish language. And she is super, Josue said it really was. She's super into like the prophetic, which I love. She just like goes for it all the time, which is just so many things to be said about that. But she appreciates that at the end of a sermon when she's like ministering, if she's like laying on of hands, which is not happening now because of Corona, but she loves when my husband and I create a melody that can go with what she's saying. Something that's like very in the moment prophetic, what needs to be said at that moment, not planned, just going with it. And it's so interesting because I love that too, but at the same time, the stuff that I sing, that I kind of put out there, is not stuff that I'm just making up and putting it out. Right. It's like I practiced this aria for over a year before you can hear it, and before it gets on my rap sheet for a competition.
Precisely prepared, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just so different that there's these different, like, it's so interesting, I should say, that there's these different, just like, areas or venues or kind of within music, and you can love all of them and appreciate all of them, and some like speak to your soul in other ways. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
for sure. Beautiful. Well, so in the vein of kind of where we are in the world, how would you say that the arts help cultivate resilience? And how, like, from your perspective, how do you use your art as a way of cultivating resilience personally and then for others?
Yeah. So real quick, my cousin Wes Money 785, he's on here. What's up, Wes? One thing that I did recently, and I purchased this like collection of music before things got so crazy, in terms of police brutality being filmed in the recent past months, I'll just say, is that I bought this score by the composer named Ricky Ian Gordon. He's white. And he set these songs for Carolyn Blackwell, who is black. And she's this amazing soprano that had a tremendous career, sung all around the world, including, of course, at the Metropolitan Opera. And so he set these poems by Langston Hughes, who everybody knows, for her. So he set them to music. So one of them, and I will plug here, is called My People. So I found this music and then fell in love with it and recorded it with a friend of mine. And instead of a normal, what does normal mean? But normal post of just pages, yeah. It's like me and my good pianist friend putting music out here just to put music out here. It was, okay, this is not about me. I want to put the faces of everybody that we've been talking about. And unfortunately, there's so many names and so many faces that we don't even know. Just like we were talking about the young boy from Aurora, that's really just now getting the kind of importance, maybe. Attention, yeah. So all sorts of people, I just placed their faces. The poem says, let's see if I can remember. The night is beautiful, so are the faces of my people.
Mm.
The stars are beautiful, so are the faces of my people.
Mm.
Beautiful also is the sun,
Mm.
so are the faces of my people. Um, and I think that's the last line. But it's just so beautifully written, and so like I was saying, it was just the faces of everybody from Trayvon Martin to Freddie Gray to um, literally I like everybody, like, which is just so terrible at the
Mm.
same time. Tamir Rice, and then I also like put like pictures of some of the recent protests.
Mm.
And there's a pretty like well-known picture that's going around.
Mm.
It's like this young boy, maybe he's like 5,
Mm.
and he has his like fist up out of a car on a busy street. Um, and then yeah, there's just, and I tried to do like with the protest pictures too, it's like all kinds of faces,
Yeah.
but really the attention of Breonna Taylor, um, you know, just
Mm.
kind of, so that was my something that I wanted to do as my way of what you're saying, kind of allowing my music to be my activism
Yeah.
in this sort of time,
Mm.
and kind of where I feel my music would speak to these current events.
Yes.
Yeah. What about you?
I love it. Yeah. I feel like it's, I don't know. I feel like it's definitely ongoing. Like kind of like we talked about, like, I don't, like, this is not new and it's not the last time that this is
Mhm.
happening. So I feel like, and I feel like my music, the themes of my music have spoken to a lot of these issues.
Yeah.
So I'm like writing new material. I think the beautiful thing about the arts is that they can make they can make us think about things differently than we might think about them by just hearing somebody talk about something
Mhm.
or just like reading facts or data. I
Yeah.
think music it's like a cross-cultural language. It's like the universal language.
Yeah.
So I think it's just neat to watch what music can do and to even see in myself how I can be affected by songs. And
Yeah.
it's like kind of silly, but this artist Lil Dicky, he had this song. It came out like maybe last year or something
Mhm.
about like climate change, and he made like this kind of jokey video
Yeah.
about we need to pay attention to climate change, which is something that I'm sure a lot of people may not have necessarily taken seriously until they saw the video and they were like,
Yeah.
this was a silly sort of slightly silly serious representation of an important thing
Right.
that we need to focus on. And so I think we can dig into the same things. And there's already music coming out. Big artists have released songs that are directly about the things that are happening. And
Hmm.
I'm working on pieces that are directly related to what's going on, which will come out soon. Um, so I think that the experience of listening to music by artists who are inspiring in itself can sort of cultivate resilience. And it
Yeah.
can allow people to engage in topics that they may not otherwise venture toward.
Right. Because a lot of, sorry, just a like,
Please.
but in there's literally like a page
Yeah.
on Instagram, and I'm sure there's many, but it's called Opera is Racist.
Really?
And so there's so many. I've realized in my short kind of experience here with classical music is that these conversations are happening less and less in this industry.
Mm.
Um, and maybe because I'm not in another industry, I just assume that like, everything is good and gravy over in R&B and
Mm.
whatever. And I'm sure that's not totally true. Um, but it's just crazy that like just the truth, I guess, is
Mm.
not being said. Um, within this particular industry of opera and classical music.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so wonderful that music can be this bridge to have us have these conversations. So yeah, I just want to say that real quick.
Yeah. And I think it speaks volumes that you're pursuing a genre that's not as, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, not as heavily pursued by people of color.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Which
I
is
think,
like, yeah, that's like a whole thing.
mm-hmm.
Because as I said before, and it just is the truth. I did not do this purposefully. Like, I would have
You
much
did not set
rather.
out to pursue opera. Right?
No, when I tell you I was going to be Alicia Keys, like my mother was buying me Alicia Keys CDs. Like, that's how we knew, like, yep, this is what we're going to do. Yeah. I mean, Alicia Keys is classically trained. She went to Juilliard, so maybe,
Really?
yeah, maybe that's where that's coming from. At least where I'm at now. But I don't know. It was not on purpose for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been interesting as a biracial person. Like, what does that mean? How do I go between these two worlds where everybody is just kind of like, oh, you must love Leontine Price, who was a very famous Black singer. It's like, yeah, but I also love Beverly Sills, who was a very famous white singer. So everybody just kind of has like these assumptions. Or yeah, it's been an interesting journey for sure. But I will say that I had this concert before Rona got crazy. So this was in February. I did a dual recital at the African American Research Library here in Denver. And before I went on, I was in the bathroom, and some amazing church friends were helping me get ready and just kind of trying to ease my nerves and everything. Yeah. But my nerves were that I'm trying to do this Black History Month celebration. Yeah. Am I Black? Like, tell me, because my experience feels that way for sure. Yeah. But this is a little bit light. I'm not trying to say I'm something that I'm not. Mm-hmm. And one of my friends was like, girl, you Black. And I was like, okay, great. So then I went out. Right. But that's like, okay, then we're good. Yeah, but at the same time, I'm just always so hesitant because I don't want to like invoke any privilege because I am lighter, because I know for a fact that there are people that aren't getting seen because of color. Mm-hmm. That's just literally a fact. Like,
colorism is real.
Yeah, absolutely. And so even me singing Summertime, which is originally an aria, not just a jazz standard, but an aria from the opera Porgy and Bess, which is written by two white men, they were Jewish, who spent a lot of time.
Was it sung as an aria before as a jazz standard? Do you know?
Yes, it's an aria.
It is? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I keep turning my thing around so everybody knows I moved. I moved. Those are boxes. Yeah, so it was for sure an aria written by George Gershwin. And that was like a whole thing. Like, yo, should I sing this? Yeah. Because if it's my Fach, which is like the kind of type of arias you should sing, just like how heavy your voice is and blah, 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 all of these things. But then I don't want to come across like, oh, I could be, over here and I'm extra light. And then they're like, well, that does work because like in these times, like because of slavery, interracial, not relationships, because it was often not by will, were happening. So there's like, okay, so I'm a house slave, but it's like a whole thing.
Critical. I think it's a critical thing to touch on, which is why I think it's so important for us to tell our stories, because
Yeah.
we can make 1,000 assumptions about a person. And I mean, I even think back to like when we met
Yeah.
because we were in a program together. We were
Yeah.
both fortunate enough to receive the same scholarship to the college we went to. And so
Praise the Lord.
we met before school started.
Hmm.
And you know, you meet people and you have your assumptions. I was like, she is probably not going to be nice to me. Like, she's light skinned. Like,
Yo, that's so real.
it is
That's
real though.
so
It's like we carry
real.
assumptions about each other, and then it's like she's probably Spanish. She probably don't even like black people. Like, you know what I mean? You have all of these
Yeah.
assumptions that you're bringing to the table, and then come to meet you, beautiful person, and you're biracial. You're black. You're white, and so like that also speaks to the like their black looks so many different ways.
Yeah. The Black experience is not, it's not
Not
one.
one blanket experience.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm sure that both of us have had these conversations countless times of like being in a room and like people look to you for like, so what's the black answer to this question?
Especially in this genre of music.
Mhm.
Like where I'm at right now in the kind of smaller circle that I have before, things get real, real.
Right.
But yeah, like even with this stuff, and I know people have well intentions, but like people are really like in your DMs, like I'm thinking of you. This is probably challenging for you and your family. I get it. Oh, but it doesn't, it rubs me the wrong way.
It's heavy. And I think there's a fine line between that. Because it's like because I had a few of those messages, and there's an appreciation because I'm like, thank you for thinking of me. But then, and like on the other hand, it's like, what else? Like, what else do we do? What else?
Right, because it's not my work. I'm not the one that has to do. Okay, so let me know what I'm supposed to do. No, just do the right thing. How about, or ask me, how can I help you?
That's a good one.
Like it's so self-centered.
That's a good ask. And I think a lot of people are learning how to respond and what to do.
Yeah.
Um, but I definitely think it's a start of like reaching out to your friends of color
Yeah.
and check in and then see what you can do. Like, what should I be doing?
Yeah. But I'm
But
I'm just saying that like in every area, Black people have to work 12 times harder. So don't ask me to do your work or
mm-hmm.
what you need to do. Like the information is there.
Yes,
Like
I do think
books
that
have been written.
people are
Netflix.
gifted to be those teachers. It
Yeah.
may not be our calling or your calling or my calling, and to an extent, like
Yeah.
I've done the work, and I enjoy bringing people together to have hard conversations.
Yeah.
People look all different ways to have hard conversations around music.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think it's like, who's called to do the work?
Yeah.
And
That's true. And I know I get like about it because at the end of the day, I
yeah,
do think just like we were saying, like we that's kind of what we want to do, and maybe that's part of our responsibility as artists is to be letting people know.
that's
Like,
the question right there.
yeah,
And the deeper question to that is how are we to do the work?
right.
Because I do honestly believe that any creative who has a platform
Hmm.
should use their platform to do something positive and to bring change to society. And,
Yeah, yeah,
and I believe that if you have a platform, you are inherently called to bring change to society. It's
yeah,
just a how, what
yeah.
change are you bring, which ties back to what we were talking about earlier, our purpose.
Right. And I think everybody has a platform. Like
Yes,
if
absolutely.
you are raising your kids at home, you have a platform. Like
Absolutely.
them jokers need to have black dogs, white dogs, red dogs, yellow dogs. Like we need to make sure, and that's something that my grandmother did on my dad's side. My dad is white and my mom is black, and she always made sure that we had like black dolls and black angels to kind of like validate our experience.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that is like definitely a stepping stone to say like, yeah, let's just if you're a mom, like I was just saying, like whatever you're doing, you have a platform at that stage in your life.
Yes.
So, yeah. We have 4 minutes, Shan.
4 minutes.
Time just flies. Allison said, yes, the info is there. Hi, Allison.
Yes.
So cool. And Arva.
Arva checked in.
Yes.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you guys for checking in.
Yes, thank you so much.
For people who haven't been here before, we're two friends who are just catching up.
Yeah.
Today we've just been talking about how quarantine has changed our lives, how our stories in our journeys, like how we've had time to sit with our stories and our journeys, and how we've gotten to where we are, and how all of that is impacting and influencing where we're going.
For sure. Yeah.
And like, what is our purpose in music? We were chatting a little bit about that. So every other Thursday, we'll be here for about an hour talking.
Mm-hmm.
What are we talking about next time? We have it somewhere. But just follow us on this.
Yes,
We'll
yes. Every other Thursday at 6 Mountain Time and then 8 Eastern Time.
Yes.
So, oh, wait. Oh, my gosh. When is the next one?
2 weeks.
Well, what's the date for 2 weeks from now? I'm going to be in Boston.
You are?
I'm coming to Boston. So then, oh my gosh, we should do it together. Let's meet.
Can we do that? Social distance. I don't know what you got.
Social distancing.
They're trying to get me over on that.
Hey. Yo, we should do that. We should do that with Shanell, me, Lizette, and Gisette. We should invite.
They said yes to a real live.
Yes, do a real live. Krista, Erica.
I know, Erica. I didn't get to say hi in the comments she left earlier. Okay, so next time we'll see if we can do a real live.
Yeah, like
social distance live.
So should we wear masks?
I'm wearing a mask, girl.
Do you have a cool mask?
No. Well, I have a few.
You have a few. Ooh.
I have a few masks because we have some mask makers in the house, girl.
Ooh, girl.
Yeah.
I have
so we'll see.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
it's Maxine. Hi. Yeah. So, we should totally think about that. Maybe we can have, yeah. Well, let's see. We need to talk offline.
We'll talk offline. Okay. So, okay. Before we go out, what last inspirational word do you have people about continuing to pursue their journey in this time?
Continue to pursue your journey. Yeah, I would say real quick, just don't give up. It will be revealed. What do you enjoy doing? Maybe that thing is like what you're supposed to do. And it gives you life, and therefore you will be able to give light and life and love to others.
I love it.
How about you, Shan?
So journey. Your journey is, I think of the word journey and I think of moving from one place to another. Like you can't be still if you can't be still for a long time. You have to take breaks, but you can't be stagnant on a journey or else you will never get to where you're going. Yeah. So keep that in mind and like use the metaphor however it makes sense to you, but pace yourself and keep moving. Whatever for you, keep moving. And keep pursuing your purpose. Seek God to pursue your purpose. That's what I do. I seek God to pursue my purpose.
Yes. And know that He is God of hills and valleys. So you're on that journey, and it might be up, it might be down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's happening. Thank you guys for watching.
Bye, everybody.